reusable. So we have the information in the system. So this question, what happens when we get it out? Okay, how can we actually use the information? It doesn't, a screen full of metadata that says, yes, there's a file there, doesn't really help you very much. I want to have the information. I want to be able to use it properly. Yeah, I need to be able to use that to inform my decision making. So I need to be able to read it. Example being PDF files. You know, can I read the file? Can I make use of the resource or not? Raw data, analytical data, scientific data. What is the documented path to get the data out of the system that's storing it now and into some sort of IT system or some sort of environment where I can reuse it? Yeah? Make sure these routes out are actually fully documented and tested and working. Yeah? There's nothing worse than having 20 years worth of analytical data in a system only to discover there's no system on the earth at the moment which can read it. Yeah? A lot of money has been spent on getting these archives, getting these depositories together, and unfortunately nobody can read the data that's in there now. Record retention schedules are absolutely critical, and they're required pretty much in a live archive, and you'll see more and more things around what's the statutory minimum time that you need to hold records. You need maybe financial records, personnel records, training records, and it depends which business environment you're in, but all of this stuff has to be configurable. So you get questions around the minimum time that you have to retain data, say bank statements or accounting data and things like that. Maybe you're only allowed to retain the data for no longer than a certain period. So we're thinking of some of the clinical trials information, the ethics documentation, which you'll be forced to store. The ethics documentation must be retained for a certain period of time. Maybe the information, the actual numbers, you're forced to delete at the end of the trial. That quite often happens within the ethics. So you only get ethics approval for a trial on the grounds that all the information will be deleted at the end of the trial. Okay, and you need to be able to control all this using your metadata in the systems. Sometimes you have a lifetime where a particular piece of information is only allowed to be deleted X number of years after the system is decommissioned. So somewhere within your environment, you need to be able to say this system has been decommissioned because that's the only time the clock starts. Yeah, then you have a legal responsibility to maintain it for 30 years after the decommissioning of a system. Okay, where is that clock start flag? Okay. Biological samples retain the information X years after the disposal of the biological sample, etc., etc. Okay, health records, employee health records, exactly the same. You have to retain them for a certain amount of period of time after employment, and if they've worked in specific areas, those periods of time can be also very long. Okay, especially if they've been worked with carcinogens and things like that. So we've got a carcinogens contact register. The retention periods for that data is long. Okay, so think about reuse, electronic data, instrumental results, complex data structures, and also they have a lifetime in their own use, immediate use. So this is the raw data, this is the annotated data, this is the processed data. Yeah, all those different types of data need to be retained because they were what was used to drive a decision. And if you're storing the data about a decision, that's what you need to be able to store, recover, and reproduce and present to somebody. Say, this is how it worked, this is what we did, this is how we got our result.